Hello, sewing warriors. Today we are going to cut out the tie mask. I'm going to show you how. I have washed and dried my fabric on high. I have it ironed and I have it stacked up with two corresponding colors of fabric that I'm going to mix and match with the ties and the mask part. So I've got them stacked up here. I'm going to flip this over and get ready to cut my 14 inches. I'm going to get a fresh edge here, cut off the excess. This is my first 14-inch cut. And my second cut. My salvage edges are together. Now I'm going to slide up my fabric for the third 14-inch cut. And now for my third 14-inch cut. Now for the ties. Okay, so now for the ties. I'm going to fold this fabric in half to make it a little easier to cut. I'm going to line up my edges and make sure I'm going to cut where I have enough. I'm going to scoot this up a little bit so I have enough here. I'm going to fold it again because I have a hard time holding the ruler still. So this is going to be all tie material. I'm going to line my folded edge up on a line, doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to start with a fresh edge. All of these cuts will be 1.5 inches. Now we're going to fold our 14-inch pieces right side together to make a tube and stitch along that line. Alright, now it's a chain together all of our tubes. Make sure you're lined up. We're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And let her rip. Alright, so now we're going to pleat this strip of fabric, and the first fold will be 1 inch. This is my seam side and this is my nose side. This is the folded side. So I'm going to fold away from me 1 inch. And I'm going to use my ruler here to kind of get my first pleat nice and straight. I'm going to use a pin to hold that down right there until I'm ready. That's my dog barking. He's hearing something outside. Okay. My iron is set on steam, and I have a piece of tape here that kind of helps me make sure my fabric is square. and not twisting. So I can take my pins out, get that steamed. My next fold will be a 1/2 inch fold, and I'm going to rotate this fabric under, whoops, this way, under itself. And I'm going to get it close to my tape just to make sure I'm staying square. So this is a 1/2 inch. You can eyeball this if you want, or if you want to measure, you're welcome to. Once you get your first pleat set, the others come a lot faster. My second pleat, I'm going to rotate away from me so you show a 1/2 inch of fabric. So you're going to see my 1 inch first pleat, and then now a new 1/2 inch pleat. I'm going to kind of just eyeball this. Okay, so now this is when I rotate the fabric under, and I'm going to nest the next pleat right up against the ridge below. Just going to feel with my finger and nest this down. And we're ready for the next pressing. You can see right here that my first fold is 1 inch, my second 2 are 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to rotate away or fold away, just exposing another 1/2 inch of fabric. And you really don't have to measure, but you're welcome to. We're just kind of eyeballing this as we go. And our last one, we're going to flip this all the way over. You can see how I'm off here a little bit. I've got a little bit wider piece here, and then as we come down here, you can see that I'm off about a 1/2 inch, and that's really okay. It's not going to be too noticeable. So we're going to flip this over and nest it again in our ridge underneath. You might have a mask down towards one end that measures 3.5 inches, and then maybe down at this end it'll measure 3 inches, and that's really okay. It's not going to be too visible once you cut these. And that's our last press. So now we're going to go to the cutting table and cut these up. Now we're ready to cut. I've lined up 3 strips, and I'm going to cut off the salvage edge to get a fresh edge. So this is our first cut, and then we're going to cut each mask into 8 inches. Okay, so now we're going to attach the ties. I have my strip cut and I have the middle. So I'm going to place that right in the middle of my mask and stitch it with 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to back tack, make sure we've got good reinforcement. And now the other side. I'm going to put it in the middle here. Now some of you might feel more comfortable making your bias tape and folding it first and ironing it. I choose just to fuss with it on my own without taking the time to iron it. With a little bit of practice, it'll become pretty fast for you. Oh, one thing I didn't say is my mask is outside down, and the nose part is away from me, and I have this seam where your chin would be towards me, so this part of the fabric would be touching my face. So I want to put that on, stitch my ties on that way first, because then you're top stitching on the top of your mask. So now we're gonna fold over and start our bias tape. It's a little bit fiddly. I'm gonna back tack and start sewing. You want to land needle down when you stop. So I'm just gonna fold and finger press. So here's a closer look at sewing the bias tape. We're folding, finger press, and stitch. When you get closer to your mask, you can take some time. So get it lined up good and back tack right there. Back tack again at the end. And then it's a race to the end. Well, there you have it. My tips and tricks on how to make lots of masks, hopefully a little faster. Thank you for watching.